Okay, this is my third time trying to record this stupid video, and I swear to gosh, if this doesn't work this time, then I'm sorry, but you guys aren't going to see a video review or my thoughts on this book because I'm not doing it again. I did a written review on Goodreads and on my blog and on Amazon, and I just copy and paste the whole thing. But this is on Die For Me by Amy Plum. Sorry, that's how I feel about the book. The writing wasn't bad. Oh, and just so you know, the written review does not have any spoilers, but this one may. So if you have not read this book yet and you do not want any spoilers, then please don't watch this video. It's going to be a little bit of a rant too, because the book was not original to me. It reminded me too much of Twilight. Now, I love Twilight. The first one, the original, Twilight. And I love the thing between Edward and Bella. I know a lot of people don't, but I do. I love it. And this book, I think, copied so many things from Twilight. And that is the main thing I think it copied. Yeah. Like I said, the writing wasn't bad. It wasn't that. And this book did get a lot of good ratings. So don't just take my word for it. If you like Twilight, you might like this. But to me, it just was too much like a carbon copy of it almost. And that's why I think if there was a little bit more originality, a little bit more of a difference to it, I would have enjoyed it. But it's about this girl named Katya, or they call her Katie, basically throughout the book. And her sister live in New York, and their parents die in a car accident, and so they go to live in Paris with their grandparents. And Katie, of course, is withdrawn and still grieving for her parents and stuff. And she goes, and her grandparents want her to get out and get fresh air and stuff. So does her sister. So she goes to these outdoor cafes and reads. She likes to read, so she's just reading at these outdoor cafes. She ends up running into these group of boys a few times, and she comes across, one day she has to do something for school anyways, and she comes across two of the boys' pictures in the paper from like the 1940s in the obituaries, and she's like, wait a minute, something's up. So, I forgot how it happens, where her and one of the guys, Vincent, end up talking and that, and she ends up, he takes her out or something like that, and says it's not a date, they were just going to go out and hang out and stuff, and she's like, oh my god, this gorgeous guy, and, just little her, which reminded me of Bella, and reminded me of Edward, and yeah. So anyway, she knows something's going on, and there's other things that go on in the book before this, blah blah, whatever. And she confronts him about it, and he ends up telling her some things about himself. Come to find out that he is a zombie, but not your typical zombie, which I thought that was interesting, because he's not the one, the flesh eater, and the one that is like the Walking Dead and looks dead and all that. No, not that type of zombie. So that was interesting. But he is a non-human, and she is a human, and they fall for each other, and they have to try to make it work. And that's all great. You have that in a lot of stories. I get that. But the reason it reminded me so much of Twilight is because of the thing that Katie and Vincent had for each other. Like, Vincent, he was always following her. He was always watching her. He always had to be by her, be with her, whether she knew it or not. And the same thing with her, and them trying to make it work. Well, of course, she shouldn't have known what he was. And one of her responses was basically she wasn't scared of him. Who does that sound like? Bella. Just this whole romance type deal that they had was just literally, it was Edward and Bella. And I didn't like that because that belongs to Edward and Bella. I didn't like reading it in another book because that is Edward and Bella's romance. That's their thing. And this was just too much exactly like that. Oh. And then you got characters in here. So a big part of the book is about that, just like Twilight was. And then you got other characters, other zombies that live in this house with Vincent. And one of the characters is Charlotte, and she completely reminds me of Alice. She's, you know, the happy, cheery person, and she wants, she knows that she's going to be friends with Bella, well, in this case, Katie. Oh, I thought we were going to be friends, and then you got the other character, Ambrose, that completely reminded me of Emmett, with the muscle, and just his personality. God. And then you have the guy that runs the house, Jean Pierre, I think it was Jean something, and he went against the tradition, not the tradition, but he went against the way the zombies live their lives, I guess. So kind of like what's his face in Twilight, the father. Typically what happens is when you become a zombie, there's really not a reason why. I don't think they've really figured out why you're chosen. But what they do is they try to save people. And in the process of saving someone, if they happen to die, they do get brought back to life. And they'll be as good as new. Once a month for 3 days, they do become dormant, where they're basically dead. And the second day, that's the first day, and the second day, their soul, or whatever you want to say, is released from them, and they can basically just go wherever they want, outside of their body. Move, Nightmare. Sorry. And, so that's how that works. And then, so if they're hurt in any way, once they wake up from that, they're good as new. So if they get hurt like right after coming out of that, then they have to stay that way. They'll remain that way until after they come out of the dormancy at the end of the month or whenever it is. And Katie knows all this, and she's welcomed into this house, and she's the only human that is. Of course, there's a bad guy in this, and at the end of the story, Katie sticks up for Vincent because he can't at the moment, and that whole thing reminds me of Bella in the ballet studio. And then as things start going downhill, of course, Vincent and all of them come to the rescue. But Vincent he's dormant at this time, so it's just his spirit or whatever that comes and helps to save the day. You know, in my last video I said this a lot more, or a lot better, but I think because it's 3 times now, I'm just like, yeah. Like I said, just reminded me too much of Twilight. The characters and the whole thing between Vincent and Katie. And Vincent, of course, has money. And he doesn't age. Because every time he becomes dormant, every time he dies, he goes back to the age he was. So if he doesn't die, then he'll continue to age. So that is one difference from a vampire. He eats regular food, stuff like that. But the way he follows her around and is always there, and just the romance they have, how he has money. You know, like I said, she's not scared of him. Yeah, whatever. I actually put this book down. I only had like 40 pages left, something like that. And I actually put the book down, and I was just like, oh my gosh, really? Like, I didn't want to finish it. But I was like, you know what, I only have 40 pages left. And the reason I did read so much of it was because it was last night. And I was laid in my bed, you get relaxed, you know, and you're just reading. And it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable, but when I came to my senses and realized that this is Edward and Bella's story. I got aggravated. And the other thing that got me upset is her grandparents. They had kind of decided not to be together. It was actually Katie who decided she didn't want to be with Vincent, so it was actually the other way around from Twilight. And then she realized she couldn't be without him. And she was depressed all the time, you know. She went over there and called her grandparents and said, you know, I'm be late for dinner. And her grandma said, well, just make sure you're home early enough, though, because remember you have school tomorrow. And then her grandma said, oh, wait, you know what, don't worry about it. If you want to stay the night there, you can, but in a separate bed. And I'll write a note for school tomorrow. She's 16 years old. Hello, I don't even think they met this guy at the time. Really? Okay, whatever. Sorry. Maybe Paris is a lot different than here, but whatever. Yeah. So I'm sorry if this isn't making any sense to you. Like I said, it's my third time doing this, so it's not the best. So anyways, I think if this had a little bit more originality in it, then I would have liked it more, because the writing was not bad. But it just was too much like Twilight. And I don't like that they took Edward and Bella's story. So anyways, that's it. Alright guys, I think I'm going to read Matched by Ellie Condi next. Alright, I actually might read Grease, you know, based off the movie. Something like that, yeah. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.